So stick on the theme of no man's land for one more question,
Sure.
and it is, if anybody's that's worked with us and gotten familiar with our philosophies behind preparation, they know that there are 8 categories we look at. Which of those categories to you most keeps companies stuck in no man's land? In other words, they have the most gaps in these areas.
And I'm going to go back to something we talked about a little bit earlier, and this goes back to one of the reasons that I was first drawn to the concept that you guys have developed, is that you can't exclude any of them, right? And for any given company, that company in their situation, you're going to place more emphasis on some of the 8 than the others. The one that I find can often be overlooked the most is the one, or really say 2, that fall into more of the adaptive space when I made the differentiation between the technical and the adaptive. And that comes down to the people. It's the proverbial, do I have the right people in the right seats, and are they focused on the right things? And we have heard that from from Collins and from so many others over the years, and we all still struggle with it. And I think in the size of companies that we're dealing with in the no man's zone concept, no man's land, I think it's even more acute because when you start looking at talent and people decisions, and sometimes you are getting into family issues, but these are often people that help you build the organization, right? And it's hard to be objective. It's almost impossible to be objective. So I think the people component is one side. I think the other, and I'll actually give you 2 more. The second is the culture. I think too many times I see organizations hesitate when they start, when they're walking up to the starting line, they're about to embark on the journey across no man's land, and they balk. Or they get so far into it and they begin to balk and question themselves then, because they start running into the inevitable challenges about how they're going to have to change as an organization, how they're going to have to mature in terms of their processes, how they serve their clients, and that inevitably starts to rub up against the culture in a lot of ways. And I think there's too often sort of a binary myth that if we want to keep the culture that is dear to us and has made us who we are, then we're going to have to give up our soul to become this next. And I've just found that is not a choice. That it's a choice you can place upon yourself, but I've found that's not a choice that actually exists in reality. I think companies too often tend to look at it simplistically versus saying, really, what are the things that make us who we are? What's our core? What's at the heart? And then what are other things that are really just habits that have evolved over time and that might actually be open up to change and create a new opportunity? So that's the second. And then the third one, I would say it's innovation. And innovation for me is, unfortunately, it's achieved the status of buzzword now. And people tend to think about, in my experience, when they hear the word innovation, they think of the next iPhone, right? Or the iPad. It's got to be something earth-shattering. While at the same time, there's so much knowledge, capabilities, and capacity within their organization that they're blind to because it's just existed for so long. To me, that's where the greatest potential for innovation comes within companies. And when they're embarking on this journey through through no man's land, I think they lose sight of that. And I think they start looking outside versus looking inside to say, really, what potential for innovation, which really gets down to how do we serve and service our customers as well as our internal employees in a better and a different way, a more meaningful way. I think people lose sight of that as an opportunity. So those are the 3 that jump out to me.